going to stop sharing and we'll restart.
Sure, I'll minute anyway, guys. You never know.
Just have a bit of a fiddle here. Hold on. Okay, so we are recording, and I'm used to using Zoom more so than Teams. So we'll make a start, and hopefully I'll get that recording at the end and I'll be able to send it to you. I think because I'm the host, that's why it's worked out this way, that I'll be doing the recording. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Now, welcome to this 3-hour presentation. Just kidding. I'm just making sure you're listening. So I was a teacher forever, you could probably tell. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can probably tell I was a teacher forever. So I was a primary school teacher for 28 years. So that would grab my attention if somebody said it was a 3-hour presentation. Now you guys are signed up, ready to start with IXL. Yes. I don't think your roster is set up yet, so we might talk about that in a minute. But before starting point is, do you know much about IXL at all?
I have used it as a teacher in previous schools, but not particularly effectively.
I don't know anything.
I heard about it once last, and I hadn't touched it.
Okay, no worries. So you're all going to have accounts, and I don't know what you're familiar with using in the past, but it works and functions in a similar way to other online resources you might have used, in terms of you have your account and you can then create your classes. The students will have their own account, so they have their own username and password. It will work on any type of device. So if the students are on a mobile device, even a phone, if they're on a phone or an iPad, there is a student app that they can get. So just get that IXL app on their phones or iPads. They don't actually have to use it. You can just go through the browser. That's up to you. What year? Do you know what year levels you're going to be using it with mainly?
7 to 10.
Okay. Because I was going to say if there were very young ones, there are even QR codes to help log in on iPads, but that's probably not relevant to you. So yeah, you can let the kids know that if they're going to use it on if they're going to use it on a phone, they might want to get the student app. That's an option. But yes, it'll work on any type of device. So whether they're using Chromebooks or laptops or whatever, they just will have a username or password. Just go to the Australian site. So it's au.ixl.com and they log in. And it'll be the same for you as well. Now, just to give you a little bit of background, and hello, I'm Jackie, for the person who just walked in. I was explaining that I was a primary school teacher for a very long time, over 25 years, and then I escaped, and about 8 years ago, I joined a different online resource, actually, visited lots of schools in those 7.5 years or 7 years or so, but I joined IXL about a year ago. So to give you a bit more information, IXL is huge in America. So this is the biggest online education platform in America. 25% of students from K to 12 use IXL over there. It's a household name there. There's already a few hundred schools using it in Australia, which was mostly by word of mouth. So I was the first person to actually work for the company in Australia. And I joined a year ago. The team is building. We've got a Vic rep, another New South Wales rep. We're getting one in WA. We're going to get a PL person dedicated to Australia as well. They'll be based in Sydney. So I won't be doing these things for much longer once we have that person started. So it's growing very rapidly in Australia. So I just thought I'd give you a bit of a summary of what it's all about. But this is the Australian site that you would be using. It's not the American site. The Australian site's aligned to our curriculum, the latest version. It goes from preschool right up to year 12. You'll have access to every year level. And the focus is maths and English. So we've actually got literacy and numeracy on our site, as well as diagnostic. There's a fantastic diagnostic tool and great analytics and reporting. Now, you can probably already tell that I talk a lot, so please just interrupt me anytime you like. If you've got a question, just throw it out there. Hayley, you're probably closest to the microphone, so just shout it out. If anyone's got a question, you can relay it to me. Anything so far?
No.
All okay? Very good. Now, once your roster is set up, once the students have their accounts, you can go and, this is the important thing to get started, you need to let the students know how to log in. There are two styles of login cards, so you can actually print those off and hand them out, and they'll just have a username. There's Anthony Albanese's one, username and password, and they just, as I said, they can just go to the site and log in, and it tells them on the card there where they need to go. If you had young ones using the app, you could actually just use that QR code one if you like. I'm going to show you where to find that. So I'm actually on the site now. Can you see that where it says IXL Maths? All right. So if you go to my IXL roster, now yours is not set up yet, but this is your starting place to actually, once your students are up there and uploaded, I'm thinking, is it Kate might be the administrator? So she should have, is Kate here? No.
No.
Okay, ask Kate, has she been receiving emails from our, we've got a team, an implementation team, to help her get set up. Okay, so just, it's not hard. You just basically upload a spreadsheet. And then every teacher.
Just on that, sorry, Jackie, because we're not going to be using the students' real names or MIS ID. So how, if I want them to use pseudonyms, so how do I do that in terms of uploading?
Yeah, well, that's okay. So you just don't have to put their proper name.
So I just do the spreadsheet with whatever
Just do
pseudonym.
you fill the spreadsheet in with whatever suits you. Yeah.
All right, and it'll upload.
And they'll be allocated like a username, but that'll be whatever, you know, that's like that one, the password is block227. You can name them whatever you like. You don't have to use the real names. And the teachers will have the option, it's not on my demo account here, it says add students, and when you click plus, you have access to all of the students in the school, and you just add the ones that are relevant to you. So if you've got a student that works with more than one teacher, because you might have a maths teacher and an English teacher, for example, or whatever, they both have access to that student. They can both have them in their class. It doesn't mean that the students have two accounts. They don't. The students still just have one account, but either teacher could be assigning work to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you'll just go down to the bottom of your roster and it'll say add student. And once those students have been uploaded, every teacher will have access to those students and can just create their class. See where it says manage classes? Can you see that button there? I always think they should rename that and call it manage groups. But anyway, what it is, you can create groups. So you might want to have, you know, if you're teaching a maths class where you've got the really clever kids and then the weaker students, you could create, you know, call it the blue group, the red group, whatever you want to call it, and separate them into groups. The reason the students won't know, they wouldn't know what group they're in, but it might make it easier for you when you're assigning tasks. I'll show you how that works when you assign tasks, but if you want to create groups, you just do it in manage classes. So the other things you can do here are to print those usernames and passwords, and you can decide which style you want to do. If you did have people using the app and you want the QR code version, you can use that, the launch cards there, that style. So they're the sorts of things you can do there. You can even get a letter and you can edit it to send to parents if you want to just give them some information about IXL. So this is all in the roster section. A reminder where to find it. Go to my IXL roster. They're pretty easy, just my IXL roster. So that's all your sort of housekeeping stuff. Just obviously the really important thing to do is to make sure students can log in. Now I want to show you, we have a really special feature called a real-time diagnostic. I also think this is a great place to start. You don't have to, but I think it's a really good place to start. So once the students know how to log in, say to them, go to the diagnostic. That's my suggestion. The reason why I suggest it, you're going to get a fantastic report on them. Now, the diagnostic takes approximately 45 minutes or so, but it doesn't have to be done in one sitting. You can spread that over a couple of days, whatever you like. You can say do it for 20 minutes and then stop, and it'll save the work, do the rest another day, whatever you like. It serves two purposes. So firstly, you're going to love the data that you get on here. but it's also helpful for the student because it's pinpointing exactly what they need to be working on. So our focus is very much around skills. Are you, just refresh my memory, are you doing maths and English at your school?
So we're going to focus more on embedding it in our maths classes at the moment, but we've also just got the English side.
But you've subscribed to both? Yeah, I couldn't remember. Anyway, not to worry. Either way, works the same way. So this is Anne's diagnostic action plan. So this is what you get once they've done the diagnostic. I can see overall in maths, see that number where it says 830? That first number is their year level. So it's telling me that overall in maths, she's about a third of the way through year 8. That's where she's landing. I don't actually know if Anne is a year 8 student. It's irrelevant. I mean, I'm sure her teacher knows. What I'm seeing here is that's how she's performing. She's performing at about a third of the way through year 8 level. But then it breaks it down into different strands. Can you see what I'm talking about here? Can you see this plan? Yep, great. I always like to ask that every now and then because sometimes it happens when people say, we're not seeing what you're talking about. So it breaks it down. I can see she's quite strong in number and algebra, but measurement and geometry is a bit weaker.
So sorry, those are the math strands, and then you've got the content descriptors underneath each one?
Okay, so what these are, good question. This is where it's helpful for the student to actually be able to see this report. It's saying these are her gaps. This is what she needs to work on.
That's the recommended.
So it's a very, very personalised, tailored plan for that student. Obviously, everyone's plan will look different. Now, this plan is purely based on the diagnostic. I'll show you shortly how everything they do in IXL is tracked and recorded and reported on. We will always be targeting gaps and strengths and providing next steps. But this plan I'm showing you right now is specifically around that diagnostic. Now you can see in English, if I scroll down to the English part, she hasn't completed it yet, but I'm already starting to see good data. So see how it's giving me a range rather than pinpointing because she hasn't done the whole test yet. But it's starting to give me some really interesting information. What I love here is look at vocabulary. She's off the charts. She's amazing with vocabulary. Now, as a teacher, I may not have noticed that. So it's giving her a challenge activity. So the whole thing that I believe makes IXL really special is this level of personalisation. It addresses gaps and strengths, and yeah, it's not just identifying them, but it's addressing them and telling students this is what you need to work on. Can you also see these little codes here? So that's an activity. I could click that and do that activity, or the student can. See where it says G98? What that code is, if you haven't had time to actually go into your account and assign an activity, but you find a good one, you can just say to the students, just type in G98 in the search bar and it goes to that activity. In fact, I'll show you what I mean. I'll do that now. If I go to the search bar, it was G98, wasn't it? If I search for that, that's the activity. So it's just a time saver if you haven't had a chance to log in. You'll still see, it'll mark it for you. You'll still see all the data from it, but that's what that's all about. Now, with my teacher hat on, because when IXL actually approached me a couple of years ago to take on this role to expand the business in Australia, I hadn't used IXL in the classroom. I sort of knew a little bit about it, but I didn't really know it in depth. So I took my time, had a good research and deep dive into the product. One of the things that really impressed me was this action plan, because I just had never seen anything like that. And I would have loved it for two reasons. Firstly, when I'm writing reports, that would be really helpful to be able to see exactly where they are in different strands. But even during parent-teacher interviews, I would have printed that off and had a hard copy. It's a great discussion starter to show the parents. So every now and then you might say to the students, just go into your diagnostic and do another 10 minutes just to keep refreshing it and see the movement. And it's quite rewarding for this and motivating for the student because she knows if she practices these skills, there's a good chance this is going to start to go up the slide and move up the scale. So that's kind of motivating. All right, any questions about the diagnostic? pretty straightforward. Just tell the guys go in the diagnostic. And that's, I think that's a great place to start. All right, so I'm going to go on to the actual site. You can access all your levels. So I'll go on the site here. Where I'm going to go now, yeah.
Can you just click the X on that box that says recording has started? Because it's like covering up part of what you're doing. Or is that on our side?
That might be on your side. I'm moving the video box around.
Sorry, it's my side. All sorted. Sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, I do like to blame others, but I think this time it really wasn't me. Is that better now? You're all sorted?
Yeah, all good.
All right. So can you see now I'm going to go to learning. You've got to kind of think of it in this way. You can use IXL in two ways. I don't know what you might have used in the past, but traditionally, if you like, people used online resources where you find content for students to do, you assign it, they do it, it marks it, you see the results, yeah? That's kind of how you use online. And you can do that with IXL, and I'll show you how to do it. But IXL goes beyond that. The other way to use it is where students work independently. So everything that the students do is being tracked and recorded and analysed, and next steps are provided. I'll show you what I mean. This is on top of that diagnostic that I just showed you. I'm going to go to, this is what it looks like for a student. I might go to a different student. I think Shakira's got a bit more data there. If I click on here, I'm going to see Shakira's wall here. So this is her interface. So she can see these yellow stars, they are activities that the teacher wants her to do. So that's the teacher-driven side of things. She could do just maths. So if she clicks the pyramid, it's only going to show the maths ones. If she clicks the book, it's only showing English, or she could do both. Okay, but that's the section from the teacher. But in this recommendation section, and I'm going to make it larger, we call this the recommendations wall. My wall won't look like your wall. This is unique to every student. So everything they're doing is being tracked, recorded, and it's all, next steps are all being fed into this wall. So it might be from the diagnostic, or it might be work that you set for them, or it might be work they did independently, but everything's feeding into this wall. And that's unique to that student. So at any time, you could say to students, just go on IXL and work through your recommendations wall, because it's targeting the gaps that they need to work on. That one's telling me it's from the diagnostic area. Sometimes it'll even tell them if they did something really well. So look, this one here, because you excelled on the 14th of February, you should do this one now. So it's not just gaps, it's also acceleration. It does both, but it's tailoring to the student. So when the student logs in, that's what they see. That yellow star there, that's showing your teacher has made some suggestions for you. Okay, so that's, yeah, pretty much that's how it looks for them. And there's a bit of a summary for them as well. It shows them a few bits and pieces on their dashboard there on how they're going. Any questions about that? All okay? All right, I'm going to show you the, yes, sorry.
No, all good.
Good, okay. I want to show you the teacher-driven side of things. This is where you find content and you assign it. And to be honest, the most impact that you can have by using IXL is doing both. Sometimes you assign specific tasks, so it's teacher-driven, but after they finish those, it works really well if they are then allowed to go on their recommendations wall and work independently, because they're then working on what they need to be working on. Does that make sense? It's targeted where they maybe struggled or where they need acceleration. So it's good to do a combination of both. But I'm going to show you how to find content. Go to learning, see that learning tab, and I'm going to go to math skills. We're very much about skills. The activities are sort of fast, snappy, skill-based activities. You can see you've got access to every year level. So I'm going to go to year 9. There are a few ways to search for content. So this is the first way, where you just pick a year level. And nearly everyone in this company has an education background. You can kind of see it on the site. It's very well structured, I think. It makes sense. It's sensible. So it's structured in the way that you can see different topics. Each line here is an activity, and you can hover over it and it will give you a preview of what that activity looks like. It's going to run through a few sample questions to show you what it looks like. If you like the look of that activity, just click the star if you want your students to do it. You've got options. You can assign it to everyone. Or remember I showed you how to create groups. If you have created groups, it would have the groups there. You can even just assign it to specific topics. You might think, well, just Gordon needs that one, and just assign it to Gordon. So I'm going to recap what I did here. I went to learning and I did maths. Same for English, but I'm going to do maths skills, and you just choose your year level and choose a topic. Now, I will very quickly show you what an activity looks like from a student's perspective. So this is a graphing activity. It's important for you to realise that the questions are adaptive. So we could all start on the same activity, but we go off in different directions, depending on whether we need support or acceleration. So it moves along at the pace the student needs. So because I'm on the teacher side, I can show you this. I'm going to jump a level. So if I was doing well, it's going to now need me to do a little bit more, a couple of columns, not just one. And if I'm doing really well, I'm going to end up having to do the whole thing myself. But it will only do that when the student is ready. And if, as a student, if I look at this activity and I think I don't know what to do, it's too hard, not sure, there's some self-help available. Firstly, they can go to learn with an example. They will also be given this example if they make an error. Then they get to read through this example. By the way, there's audio support right up to year 8. So it will read the questions aloud if you want it to. They can read it aloud right up to year 8. So, and a lot of teachers use these examples for explicit teaching. Like I get asked often, what's the best way to use IXL? It's a little bit like how long's a piece of string, because everyone's different. But if I was doing a lesson, I'd probably start with this up on my board and say, let's talk through this, because this is what you're about to do. So have a little talk through this example and then get them actually on their devices, starting the activity themselves. But the students can read through that. The other thing that she could do, see down the bottom, it says not feeling ready yet. These can help. These are easier activities that are a good lead in. So if she still doesn't feel confident, she could do these first. And if she can master those, she's got a much better chance of being able to do this one. So I just thought it was good for you to see what it looks like. Yep.
Good question.
Sorry, Jackie, and I'm sorry because I was late, so I missed you might have covered. But I'm just wondering, so if we have like say some year 9 students who when they do the diagnostic, they are not working within the year 9 content at all, does IXL give them content that's from a lower year level? Is that?
Oh, yeah, good question. It will do in the diagnostic plan. It will do that here. In their recommendations wall, yes, it will. It will give them easier. But in terms of what you assign, you're in control of that.
So,
does that make sense?
Do you have the option to assign stuff from, because we do have quite a lot of students who need to work on stuff that's probably like a bit more foundational compared to like their level.
You've got access to every year level. So if you're teaching a year 9 class, but you've got a group of kids working at year 7, just click year 7 and select from there. And it might be that you only want certain students to do that activity.
Yeah. Can I just clarify? Sorry, because I think, I'll just paraphrase maybe. So even though we're only working with year 7 to 10 students, we have access to all activities from P to 12. Okay,
you've got from preschool.
Yeah.
You've got access to it. And I'm going to, this is
access that for their activities.
Another question, sorry, when if I was assigning a year 7 student, say, an activity from year 3 skills, can they see that that's a year 3 activity?
That was you read my mind, because that's exactly what I was going to show you next. If you want to, you can go here to your profile and settings. Can you see that button there? So on the top right, there's a little mountain. It might have your avatar or whatever. Click that and go to profile and settings. You can hide the year levels if you want to. I'm not sure why it's not taking me there. My internet's gone a bit slow, but it's in profiles and settings, and you'll see that you can actually hide it. I don't know why it's not clicking. Oh, there we go. It's just internet was a bit slow. There's a few things you can do here in your profiles and settings. Remember I said that it will read aloud the questions right up to year 8. By default, I think it only goes to year 3 maybe, or year 5, I'm not sure. But if you want it to go all the way to year 8, just make sure you click extend audio support. And the other thing you can do here is hide year levels. Now I haven't hidden it, but if you hide those year levels for your group, and it might be just for different groups, you might have a green group that's working way below, you created a green group, right? You could just hide those year levels for the green group and they won't know. And more importantly, the parents won't know what year level you've assigned for them. So that was all here in profiles and settings. And just make sure you're a Queenslander. So when you go in, it should be. I'm a Queenslander today, but, you know, normally I'm wearing blue because we're getting close to State of Origin. Anyway, so that's all in profiles and settings. And, you know, everything I've shown you for finding activities for maths, it's the same for English. You've got access to every year level. It depends what year you're teaching, but it's basically grouped like this: reading strategies, writing strategies, vocab, grammar and mechanics. You can hover over it, assign it, all in the same way.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. So let's say I've got a year 7 maths class and we're working on adding and subtracting integers, right? So I want the kids to be working on that, but I know, so I could assign that as a whole class activity, but I know that a bunch of my kids are probably back there in terms of being able to do it. Is there a way that they're sequenced, like, and you can just look back through the activities and go, okay, year 7s are adding and subtracting integers, so if the student is working down here, I can look back through the activity sequence and go assign them that one?
I think so. I think I'm hopefully about to answer that question.
Okay.
Remember I mentioned, I'm hoping this is going to address what you were asking. Remember I said there's a few ways to search for content. So I went to learning and I went to math skills and automatically I'm looking by year level. But the other way to look is by topic. This might answer your question. So let's say you mentioned integers. Okay, so now these are all our integers activities grouped by year level. Is that helpful?
Yes, I think that's what I'm looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you could go and assign it to each group according to where you think their needs are. But so just remember,
integers provide a year 6, right?
And you've got all the topics in alphabetical order.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just,
so that's the other way. So you can search by year level or you can search by topic.
Okay.
And there is another way. I sound like an infomercial, but wait, there's more. You can also search by the curriculum. So I'm on New South Wales there, but here we go. I'm a Queenslander today. So this is another way to search. So say I was to go to year 7. I'm on the Australian curriculum. What this does is, say this was the outcome that's in your program that you need to address this week. These are the activities that will address that. I mentioned earlier we're all about skills. So our curriculum team has basically unpacked that outcome and said, what skills does a student need to achieve that outcome? These are our activities that are going to help them build those skills.
So that's actually mapped to the achievement standard, or are those the content descriptors? Yeah, okay.
Obviously, with some outcomes are going to have more content than others. We have so much content. I don't believe that's ever a problem, but some are richer than others. So like this one here has 5 activities where this one's got a lot. It's going to vary from outcome to outcome how much we have. It depends. Some are narrower than others. You can even, and here's the infomercial again, wait, there's more. You can print that skill plan and have it in your program ready. So see how it's got year 7, Australian curriculum 9.0, And then I know exactly, according to the curriculum, what sort of activities I should assign. And like I showed you before, it's got those little codes too. So if you haven't had a chance to formally assign something, you could just tell the kids, look, just go and type in PGQ and it'll take you to the activity you need to do today. Okay, so there's, as I said, sort of 3 ways to search: by year level, or by topic, or by the curriculum. So they were the 3 tabs there. The probably last thing, I always say last thing and then I think of something else, but the last important thing you'll want to know is, how do you check results? This was another thing that really blew me away the first time I explored IXL. We have so many types of reports. There's a lot of ways to view data. And I think one of the reasons is everyone's different the way they like to view data. You know, some people like numbers and other people like colourful pie graphs. So once your students have started using IXL, have a play with the analytics and decide what, you know, and it also depends what you want to know. Have a play. I won't show you them all, or we would be here for the 3 hours. But I'll show you a couple. Score grid is a good one, just to simply know who's done what. And how did they go? And you've always got options, like you can choose your time frame. You might just want to know, what did they do this week or this month or this term or whatever you like. I'm going to go all time to get a bit more data. You can choose whether you want English or maths and so forth. One thing I love about our reports too is you can always dive deeper. So you can hover over and I could click on that and find out more information. This has now taken me to this student Noah's questions log. By the way, you can download all of these reports. See the little printer icon? You can always download them. This is showing me exactly which questions this student got right and wrong. I could do just the missed questions only. That would be great if he was working with a tutor. And that will show me exactly what he got wrong as well. So the other thing with the score grid, I'm just going to go back to that. You can also look at it according to the curriculum outcomes. So see where it says standards and skill plans. If I click standards on, now I'm seeing results according to the syllabus. So this outcome here, I'm seeing results against that outcome. And once again, you can download that. All right, and I'll show you another report, but any questions about that one? It's pretty straightforward. That's the one probably gets used the most because it's just really who's done what and how did they go. And that's 9 times out of 10, that's what you need to know. But this report, here's an interesting one, trouble spots. This is going to show me my class as a cohort. What are we struggling with? And it's going to show me in order the most troublesome first. It's saying I've got 10 students here struggling with this concept. Now, we like to call our analytics actionable. So it's not just giving you the data and saying, you know, Johnny got 9 out of 10 and Sally got 3 out of 10. It's actually providing you with what should I do now? We're providing the next steps. What can I do with that information? Well, firstly, here are the 10 students, so it's telling me who they are. I can hover over and it can take me to that questions log that I just showed you. I could click the star and it will reassign that activity just to those 10 students because my other students don't need it. We can also do a group jam. What a group jam is, it's great for small group instruction. You know how I said the questions are adaptive? On a group jam, it's the opposite. It's where you want to gather a few students together and you all work on the same questions at the same time. So that's what the group jam is there. So I think that's a really helpful report as well. You can probably get the gist of this, but our focus is very much on formative assessment. Everything they do is being tracked and reported on. So if, you know, Johnny's mum randomly calls you up today and says, oh, I'm worried about Johnny's maths, you don't have to rely on a test that you did, you know, 6 weeks ago or an app plan that was done months ago. You can pull up these reports. If they have been using IXL fairly consistently, you're going to have up to the minute data whenever you need it. However, having said that, we also have under my IXL, this left tab here, some other engagement tools. So you can actually create a quiz, and that's your little summative quiz option if you want to do that. And you've got access to all of the questions inside IXL. So I was starting one here. You pick what topic you want to do. Now I'm going to say add a question here. I chose decimals to be the topic. What part of decimals? I might want to do rounding decimals. How difficult do I want to make this question? And if you don't like the question, and I'll click add question. If you're not happy with that question, generate a new question. Eventually, when you're happy with it, you just say review and publish, and the students get an alert that they've got a quiz to do. So it's, and you'll get, of course, all the reporting on that. The questions are not adaptive in that, they don't get help with it. It's a summative test. So it's a way that you can compare apples with apples if you want to do maybe a test on a particular topic or something. So to find that, go to my IXL and it's under quizzes. Another little feature that I've got here, can you see where it says live classroom?
Yes.
This is a way to keep an eye on your students. You know how when they're all on their devices, it's very hard to monitor what they're all doing. This is doing it for you. I can see live exactly who's on IXL, how they're going, and even more importantly, it's alerting me in orange there to the students who are struggling. So I now know who I need to go and help. It's also telling me I've got 2 kids doing nothing. They're not logged in. So I don't know if you can see this, but there's like a little paper aeroplane there. You can send them a private message. Click the paper aeroplane and I could say, hey, James, what are you doing? So it literally is like having eyes in the back of your head, and they can't reply. They can just send you an emoji.
Can they message each other?
No, it's not a communication tool with each other. It's only for the teacher to message the student, which isn't that lovely. And yeah, the student can't type anything back. They can just send an emoji. But I've already had teachers say to me that they've used this in the classroom and they have students saying, how did she know? You know, because they're so used to being able to do whatever they want on their devices. So that's a little handy tool as well. So that's called Live Classroom. To find it, it's under my IXL.
Just a question there, sorry, Jackie.
Yeah, I'm just curious, with that live classroom thing, can you see, so you can see if they're like inactive? As in, like, say if they've minimized it and they're like gone off and done something else, you can see that they're...
Yep. See this one here? It says 2 students idle, and it's showing me who they are. James and John. Look, John. It's typical of John, isn't it?
So good.
So even if they're logged in, even if they're logged into IXL, but they've like minimized the window or gone to Google or whatever.
It's a good question. If they're logged in and doing nothing, I think they'll be listed as idle.
Okay.
Once they start answering some questions, you start to see these numbers appear to show how they're performing. And the orange ones, as I said, the orange ones are saying they might need some help.
Got it.
So it's a really handy little thing where you can have a little bit of a rest, do I say, at your desk and see what's going on. So go to my IXL Live Classroom. So just in summary, to get started, once you've got the students uploaded, go to my IXL on roster. Remember, that's where you can create groups if you want to, and it's also where you can get their login cards to print and hand out. If you want to assign content, just go to learning, maths or English. It's up to you whether you search by year level or whether you search by topics or whether you want to search by the curriculum. So they were the 3 tabs there. And of course, all your analytics, all your reporting, it's all there. But yeah, I do recommend you say to your students, just make a start with a diagnostic. Go into the diagnostic arena and make a start there. I think that's a good place to start. All right, that's about it. But any questions from you?
Not from
All
me.
good?
No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Thank you very much. I don't get called cool very often.
Jackie, if we
I
do
am
have
going to stop that recording.
there
I'm hoping that the recording has worked. Stop sharing, and if I get that recording, I'll send it to you. I usually use Zoom, so that's why I'm fluffing around here, but hopefully that'll be fine. All right,
Jackie,
have a great afternoon, everybody.
Can you hear me, Jackie?
Sorry.
Oh yeah. If we do have questions, are you the best person to contact, or do we have like an account manager?
Actually, no. You've got an account manager that would have emailed you.
Okay.
And if you've got any questions about your account, that's the person to go to. If you've got a
Right.
question on how to use something, firstly, there's actually a lot of help on the site itself, or you can email help@ixl.com and you'll get a quick reply. I can't promise you how quick, but should be within 24 hours.
Awesome. Sounds
And
great.
I'm just looking at the recording. Okay, I'm stopping the recording now. And